Okey-dokey.
Okay, so good evening everyone. Thank you all for coming to our SoulSolutions talks. If you haven't been before, this is a series of talks we do bi-weekly on a Monday at 8 p.m. and we have varying therapists and modalities. Myself and Suzanne run the group, and this evening we are going to benefit from Suzanne's knowledge and experience. Suzanne has a background in body talk, so she's a body talk and divine healing practitioner. I'll remember all this. Rahani celestial healing teacher and a meditation and mindfulness coach, and has decades of experience.
That makes me sound really, really old.
Wow.
I am a bit.
You're looking good on it, so you're all right.
Yeah, filters work really well, don't they?
So I'm going to pass you over to the capable hands of Suzanne, and enjoy.
Thank you very much. So welcome to the people that have not been along to our groups before. It's good to see a few new faces. If any of you, once you're supporting the group, want to do a talk, you're very welcome to contact one of us and hop on and share what you do as well. So we're always interested in meeting new people and learning new things. Like Karen said, we've kept this running all the way through since the kind of beginning of us all landing online. And it's kept us all going, really. It's provided everybody with a space to hang out, meet like-minded people, share what we're doing and support each other's work, really. Let's just get rid of that. I haven't worked properly for probably about 7 months, so this is quite exciting for me to be in the seat again. I've been poorly, I won't go into it, but some of you know, and so this is quite nice for me to be presenting again. It's been a while, so it's good to see some new faces and some faces that I'm very familiar with supporting. So I'm going to share a few slides. I'm going to try not to do death by PowerPoint, and then once I've described what I'm going to be talking about, then we're going to do a meditation and then invite your guide in session at the end, just to give you a taste of what my 2 workshops that are imminent are all about. So the workshops encompass all different modalities that I've learned and practiced, as well as what Karen mentioned. I've run meditation and healing workshops for years, and I include all of my experience and other things that I've done, and Mindscape, breakthrough, other modalities that kind of bring in working with guides and channeling energy, and then working with people in a session to find out what the priorities are for their healing, rather than, you know, working to a kind of script, if you like. So it's about the session flowing to what is right for the person that's in front of you. So I'm going to share my screen. I've got lots of slides. I'm not going to show you all of them, but just to give you an idea. So hang on a sec. Okay. Actually, nope. Wrong slides. Show this one first. Karen, what one can you see? Can you come off mute a second, because it should be the other slides. You're on mute. Are you lost?
No, I'm here.
Okay.
Right.
What can you see? What can you see?
I can see working with guides, our subtle senses, and then.
Okay, perfect. I've just had the wrong screen open for me then. All right, I've changed it.
Okay, I'll go back on mute.
All right.
Okay.
So working with guides, our subtle senses and our higher self, for me, it's been something that has been a practice just my whole life, really, on and off, depending on where I am in my life, what phase I'm going through. When I was a teenager, it wasn't always something I was interested in. And then I had an out-of-body experience when I was 17 in a near car crash where I ended up with a car pulling out, and we literally sailed up the road sideways in slow motion. It all went pixelated and I'd completely left my body, which was a bit frightening, but I felt in another sense very safe, and it was very measured, like it wasn't me that was doing it. I was literally watching from above me. Anyway, mounted the curb, ended up my car slamming to a stop somehow. Have no idea how that happened. The other car drove off and I just sat there shaking as I kind of slammed back into my body at the same time, and just was more a bit like, what on earth happened there? That kind of brought me back into there's more to life than, you know, whatever is kind of going on. I had a bit of a kind of troubled period at school, and that was right at the part where I'd left school, and then I started to develop my spiritual practice again, read a million books, became a therapist, and then really started to pay attention to what were my gifts, what was natural, and what I could learn, what courses I could go on, all that kind of stuff. So we all navigate with our subtle senses, even if you don't realize it. Especially between the ages of 0 and 7, you are in your senses, navigating what the world feels like, smells like, tastes like, sounds like, in your connection, and that is your reality. So you don't really know what's right or wrong, real or not real. So we've got our truth, and then there's the truth. So there's a difference between that. We end up with our own experience, our own perception about what that is for us. So sometimes when we get into the being triggered by certain behaviors and stuff and how people should and shouldn't behave, it's because we've all had a different experience about what life actually looks like. So that's going to look different for all of us. And then we get into a teenager, we rebel a bit, and then we start to work on recognizing what belongs to us, what are other people's triggers, whether we're going to react or respond, and just go through that. I then went on and did other therapies to kind of develop that practice. So included in the first workshop coming up is really a look at the different types of guides that we can work with. That could be, there's so many different schools of thought around this. Ultimately, it doesn't really matter, because it's still a way of tuning in with your own higher self, subtle senses, connected to source, whatever you want to call it, really. So it's not really about truly categorizing something. It's really about knowing that we all have these abilities and gifts within us that we just need to learn how to work with. The more meditation or mindfulness, or the more we can practice not showing up to, you know, our triggers and stuff by recognizing where we're showing up to those, then the more we can enter into the still spaces where we're going to get downloads and connection and everything else. During the past 7 months, my connection has gone from 0 to 100, up and down, depending on where I was on my journey, because vibrationally, at some points I was so low or in fear that I was finding it difficult to access my intuition, my guides, and whatever else it is. And then other times I was really in flow and it was clearer than it's ever been. So that was an interesting experience to have. Your subtle senses are your clair senses. So it's the, you know, the intuitive aspect of a sound, clairaudient, the intuitive aspect of sight, clairvoyance. You've got your claircognizance, that knowing. You've got empaths, similar thing. So you're feeling your way. You could be working with people or meeting somebody and you feel their feelings, or you can sense what's going on for somebody, or they'll be saying one thing and you'll know that there's something else underneath that. It's the ability to kind of see a much bigger picture, or feel it, or hear it. You can also have you know, your subtle sense of smell and taste. So clairsalience and clairgustance, I believe they are called. Some people have lost their sense of smell and taste. with current illnesses, and they've interestingly learned to develop their subtle sense of the ones that they've lost. So that kind of remembered sense, or that kind of inner knowing, or they developed other senses to work with that have got stronger. So that's been interesting to witness. We've all got different ways of connecting. Some people may connect really easily with their guides. Some people may struggle a little bit. Some people may need to do a relaxing down meditation process. And there's ways of connecting your guides, or your connection to higher self, or your gifts and senses it's always there. It's just a question of being able to access. Now, when we're in monkey mind, it's more difficult to have a space where your channel, if you like, is clearer in order for you to connect. So I always practice simple mindfulness techniques, like, if you get in the shower, for example, you can feel it, smell it, taste it, hear it, have it on the shower on different parts of your body. I've been finishing the shower on cold. It's a bit shocking, but I've been able to turn the temperature down, and that's been very healing, actually. So Wim Hof-ish, because it's probably, I've managed about 3 minutes, but still 3 minutes feels like 3 hours. So just challenging yourself to be really in the moment with something, and actually cold water does really do that. Your mind will always wander off. You might get 2 seconds out of being in the moment of what you're actually experiencing in that now moment. But if you bring it back as soon as you remember, it interrupts the story that might have been unfolding. So when we've got troubles, or we've gone off on a mind wander, it builds into a bigger story. And if we're worrying, that can turn into feelings. So if we just keep bringing it back, I call it putting a spoke in the wheel, then you're still practicing mindfulness, because you haven't allowed that kind of story to build up into something that takes over, and then you've really gone. If you're going through a stressful period or trauma or anything like that, obviously it's more difficult to tune in, because you really are in your thoughts. That's when it's good to reach out and ask other people to hold space for you and help you with your practice to find your way kind of back to that, if you like. Even at times all my own knowledge went out of my ear, and it was just really nice for people to come and hold space for me and help me kind of tune into how I felt about decisions I needed to make. Protection and grounding, I tend to adopt the body talk process of this. Is you don't pay too much attention to the fear of needing protection, if you like, because if you focus on the things you don't want, obviously then you're just going to get those things more in your vision. So it's just knowing that there's dark and light to everything. We've all got shadow stuff, we've all got the light. It's just about bringing some balance and not inviting in negativity, whether that's spirit or people or anything like that. It's just about kind of finding a balance with that, staying grounded in your connection to the earth, staying anchored. I know that when I was a teenager, I used to just kind of end up in some astral dream and completely kind of out my body and not really know what was going on, because I wasn't very practiced or didn't really know enough to work on ways to keep me kind of anchored and grounded. So again, I've learned about by trial and error, and then I've had some good teachers throughout my training. And even recently, I will still go along to other people's training, because we're all teaching and learning together. I don't believe we need to be in an age of gurus anymore as such, because we've all got something to share. We don't need to be the best at something or completely fixed, because what even is that? It's not real. So I would say to everybody, if you've got something to share, then someone else won't know what you have to offer. So encourage all of you, even if it's just coming on and sharing yourself on here, you're very welcome to do that. And then there's the ways of kind of calling in your guides. There's different practices for that, and there's different challenges. So if I call in a guide, for example, I'm going to want to know who I'm working with. One of the practice that I was taught through Susie Gigg's classes, I met a lady called Jean Harris, who I do work with sometimes. And they do it the spiritual church way, where they call in a psychic guide and a spirit guide to work as a team. And then you've got other guides that can come in with that. And you make a challenge of asking them to hold up the sword of truth, for example. Now, you can say, are you working for the good of God and mankind? Or you could say, are you working for the good of source and mankind? Whatever words you use, it's not about religion. It's just that connection to the divine source, whatever that means to you, basically. It's your way of connecting. And then if they can't hold up the sword of truth, you can't visualize it, you can't feel it, then you're going to send them away. At the end of the day, you're in charge, and it's about you working with your team, and it's not about, you know, anything else kind of taken over or anything. If something feels off, you just send it away. I always cut the cords and seal the ends with wax. That's my visualization, and I've already put myself in a kind of bubble of light. Your mind will, and you can create whatever you like. It's all your own reality. So in Mindscape, for example, one of the modalities I've practiced for a long time, you create a virtual workshop, and the guides in that one are invited in through a lift, and they come through a white light, and if the lift lifts up, and if they don't show up or step in, then it's not for the session, because that's about working with the priority of what's right for your client or who needs to come in to guide me. It could be a person that's alive, even, that you're tapping into the field of their knowledge. So in body talk practice, for example, then somebody might invite in John Valtime, or you've asked the person that's right for the session to come in, the lift comes up and John Valtime pops in. Now, he's the founder of Body Talk. It would make sense sometimes to bring his energy in, but it could be anyone, it could be animals, it could be all sorts. There's different belief systems to say around this. There's no right or wrong, it's just different. Everything takes practice, everything needs questioning, and you will work on your own connection and guidance. So here's just a list of potential guides that we may work with. Again, it's not exhaustive. It could be many, many different types of guide. So I'm just going to stop sharing that one. I think I don't need to, yeah, I'll talk about that in the actual workshop. Okay. So that's the first workshop I've got coming up, and I'll share when that is at the end. So for me, when I'm working in a session, I'll stop sharing for a minute. When I'm working in a session, my therapies all end up being kind of rolled into one, because I utilize the skills that I have to create what I call a master session for somebody. If somebody particularly just wants body talk, for example, then I would set the intention to navigate through that, but often other things are going to pop in anyway. That's just how I work. It helps to take your own ego out of the equation and things being in any way rigid, and it just allows you to work through your subtle senses to allow the session to flow. So I could be doing divine healing 1 minute, bringing in a formula of body talk, and then tapping it out, or I could be doing some command codes to do with divine healing, or they may be needing some Rahani. I may pop in a meditation, or I could have a soul rescue turn up during a session, and then we'll need to go through the process of doing that. It could literally could be anything, because on a body talk chart alone is everything that could potentially pop up: mental, emotional, physical, spiritual, energetic, and beyond. And then you add in all the other modalities, you really can just kind of fly around everywhere. So, everyone okay? Not rambling on too quick. Good. Right, so let's share the other one. This should say Master Practitioner. Does that say Master Practitioner? Yeah, yay. Good. Okay. So this is about mastering and developing your gifts to integrate into your practice. Again, this is open to people, even if you haven't got more than one modality. It will help you navigate through using your senses, using tools and ways to kind of bring your session to life for the person you've got in front of you. Or if you're doing a self session, it just allows for us to move out of the way a little bit. I always say, you know, when we're working creatively, you've got to learn the modality and, you know, the left brain the same way as you do a car. But once you've got the driving sorted, then you're kind of in your creative flow. Again, that's not always easy to stay in it. Sometimes I'll start a session, I'm writing notes and using tools and stuff, and then it will start to flow, and then that all kind of goes out the window. Again, if you are not a therapist and you do some, you know, home help like homeopathy or herbs or different types of healing through cooking, foraging. Again, if you're not feeling very well, you can use navigating tools to really tune into what inherently your innate wisdom knows what might be right for you. And sometimes you'll be really surprised what pops out. When I'm in sessions with other people, sometimes it's a bit like, well, that's a bit random. And I say it anyway, and they'll go, oh yeah, that really makes sense. And I'm like, oh, good, okay, because it sounds like a crazy person. So what's involved in a master session? That sounds a bit grand, doesn't it? So it's really just more about using all your skills, really. So first of all, it would be understanding the gifts that you have, understanding how you normally would work in a session and what you've been taught within that, what you're most comfortable with. You'll have dominant senses, and there are ways of you developing all the others. We're all made of the same stuff. We're hundreds of billions of cells of energy vibrating at a certain frequency, and it's all there to utilize. Some things will just feel more natural to some than others. I've had some very left brain people learning to, you know, develop their right brain creative skills. And I've had some very creative people learning to, you know, get some structure in. So it doesn't matter where you are with what skills that you're using. There's a way of mapping your skills, and I'll show you that in a second. You're going to be tapping into your intuitive senses. And again, we'll go through different practices during meditation and relax down to get you feeling and sensing which one you're in, and do some exercises together. Practice. So let me show you. So some of the navigating tools, again, this is not exhaustive because you may have ones of your own. First of all, is getting permission to work. You may not be, it may not be the right tool to use. You may not be the right person. We were taught this, I was taught this technique in body talk to make sure that, you know, the person that you've got in front of you, they may well need, you know, medical attention for something, because there is room for everybody in all of this. And sometimes you might not be the right therapy or modality that that person needs. Now, that's rare for it to get a no, but within a permission structure, let's see if I can do that. There you go. Within a permission structure, it could be that either you or they may have a block with a mental, emotional, physical, or spiritual body. So there is a way of clearing that in order to get permissions to proceed. And they'll repeat sentences until that then becomes clear and you're able to navigate. Maybe me, could be the therapy, for example. If you get a no, then what? Then you're going to be having a chat about, you know, some, you know, you could still utilize other skills you've got with self-care and stuff, but really you have duty of care to the person to send them off to a person that becomes priority. And again, you can use tools and muscle testing to do that. So some of the tools. So muscle testing, some of you may be kinesiologists, some of you may be body talk practitioners. Well, I know some of you are body talk practitioners. Some of you will be tapped into your subtle senses. Some people use a pendulum. You know, you could go into a session where you want to look at some tarot cards to get an idea of, you know, some maybe the story that's unfolding. again, you may slip in naturally to your dominant sense. Some people work with crystals. There may be books that you're guided to, a chapter or something, or cards. Could be tarot, it could be oracle cards, it could be cards that come in and help with self-care. So it really is, there is quite a lot. There are many different types of muscle testing. So I'm going to teach people how to perform a muscle test on somebody else. I'd work with the body talk one for that, because it's simpler than working with a strong tense muscle like we do in kinesiology. It's just basically to get a yes and a no. It's a way of, again, tuning into our innate wisdom, our subtle senses. It just helps you to kind of navigate. There's always room, of course, for the fact that we're human within that. So there's many different ways of muscle testing. One of the most simplest, ways to get a yes and a no is the locked fingers. So that for me is a no, and if it's a yes, it's opening. For some reason it's the other way around, some people rather. So that would be a no to me, and that would be a yes. They just come through. Again, you can program these, or you can ask, like you would with a pendulum. You can either program it, or you can ask it to show you what is a yes or what is a no. So it really is down to developing a technique or trusting your intuitive senses to guide you with that. So that's quite exciting to see that in action. And then, I mean, the more you practice with this, just some of the most amazing sessions where you think sometimes, I'm not really sure where this is going, and then it makes complete sense to a person. So you do just learn to trust and have faith that the session is unfolding how it's meant to. Again, it's always that trying to move out of the way of our ego, so that we're not kind of forcing our kind of opinion or anything on what should and shouldn't happen in a session. So some of the things, for example, there are ways of setting out your navigation. This is just an example. There are ways you could, like the body talk system is like a runway with lots of offshoots off of it. You could just have a table of all the things that are included in what you can bring into a session. These are just some of the stuff that I may include, for example. It can go to a client's knowledge even, and it'll be okay. So it's bringing up something that what do you practice? And then you might go through some of their knowledge in order for something to shift. Now, when you're working with people, you need to remember that they could come in with a bad knee, but you might need to be working on an emotional issue around fear. And the meridian lines could be blocked that run through the kidney meridian, run through the knee, and that may need to be cleared before that knee issue will even go away. If they've had a lot of trauma in their life, then sometimes it may need the emotional baggage to come up before that actual physicalness will clear. So I always say at the beginning of a session, one, we're not in the business of fixing, because that's not, it doesn't give the other person responsibility for taking part in their own healing. We are facilitating other people's healing, basically, with whatever needs to come up as priority for them. So again, it just allows that session to flow and unfold. And you're basically, for me, I'll more likely than not, I'll be navigating around this with muscle testing to start with, and then I'll just slip into my intuitive senses, and I'll get pop up some words and a vision in my mind, and then a guide might come in, and it might be, appropriate for me to invite them to invite their guides in at that point if they've done some of that work already. So that's just, you'll all have your own lists, you'll all have your own ways of navigating that. Some examples of muscle testing on other people or yourself. Again, I would go into more details with that. So by the end of the session, it will be, do you have permissions? Is there anything you needed to clear? Choosing your tools that you're going to work with. Again, you can use your tools to choose your tools, if that makes sense. Working with your navigation chart. So you may stop looking at it once, because you know what therapies and stuff you do anyway. It's just nice to have it there so that you realise and remember all the things that you can include. You might take notes to create a formula or a bigger picture, because that's what I was going to say earlier. You're peeling the layers of an onion. You're not focused on one problem and then that issue is fixed, because there's many levels to it. It could be that you clear an emotional issue and then something physical needs to shift, but it's not ready to happen yet. Or there may be some spiritual aspect behind it, or a past life or an ancestral issue going on. To clear all of that in one session would be too shocking. It would be too much for somebody, because there's so many filters that your body needs to adapt to what the session's unfolding. And actually that would be very disorientating, and the clearing from that potentially would be too uncomfortable. And again, I navigate with the session when it needs to end, basically when it's kind of done. So by the end of it, you'll have a way of navigating around your tools, doing some swaps with people, and basically just asking the questions you want to ask. And even, working with, again, all your different modalities, working with, if interference comes in, how to deal with that, because that happens too. So it is really just creating this kind of bigger picture for the client that you've got in front of you. So let's just stop sharing that for a second. I'm just going to share the other screen just to show you what I've got coming up. This should be the guide slides again, yeah. Okay. So this is the last slide. So those are my contact details, and I might put these on again at the end, because I'm going to do a meditation with you guys in a second. These are when the classes are coming up, and my next meditation class is next week. And then this poster on the right hand side, Karen Oliver, who's here. For those who don't know Karen, we're doing an in-person workshop. Yay! First one for a really long time, because obviously we've all been working online. So that's going to be exciting to have. So if anyone local or anyone wants to come visit, then we're going to be working on the things that you can kind of see on the poster there. So again, lots of interactive, hands-on work, lots of sharing, just really getting people into finding out who they really are and working on their own gifts and inner power, talking about belief systems and blaming, what we're showing up to, triggers, that kind of stuff, and then bringing some empowerment in to kind of counter it. All right, so let's just stop sharing that for a second. Okay. So I'm going to take you through a little meditation just to give you a little bit of a flavour of one of the things that I will be doing. Probably in both workshops, I will always have some kind of meditative process in order for you to connect. This is going to help you relax down. Most of you here, I'm sure, are used to meditating anyway. Some of you have heard me a lot. So yeah, okay, so get yourselves comfy. And if you'd rather not be on camera for doing this, then that's fine, but I'll just need to know that you're all right when we come back. I know that you're not fast asleep or what have you, but if you're happy to stay on camera, it's good. It's always nice to see some faces. So just take a couple of deeper breaths and just relax down into your body, feeling that wave of relaxation as you shut your eyes. Just really breathing into those spaces where you feel tense or a little bit uncomfortable, allowing yourself to move where you need. Just keeping your back kind of straight but relaxed, if that makes sense. Just allowing the flow of energy. And just feel now roots coming down from the base of your spine, through your legs, out the bottom of your feet, anchoring down into Mother Earth, pushing down through all the layers and levels. Right through to the center of Mother Earth. Anchoring into Mother Earth's energy. A giant ball of golden light. Just feeling that connection to the Earth's energies. Feeling anchored, safe and protected. I want you to bring your awareness now to high up above your head, to a 6-pointed star. That's going to allow divine healing light to flow through this star, beaming down towards you. So feeling connected and anchored above and below, connected to source. Whatever you call that is fine. I'm going to anchor you into the ascension chakras. So these are overlays of the 7 chakra system with some extra ones as we move more into the new earth energies. We're anchoring in more light, becoming more crystalline. So your chakras will fluctuate between the older system and the newer ones, depending on where you are in each moment. And the more light we anchor, the less fixed these become. Just allowing a flow of energy. So just bring your awareness down to about 18 inches below your feet. We're anchoring into the Earth Star Chakra. Just visualize your roots wrapping around this energy, this grey ball of light. You may sense the energy swirling one way or the other, vibrating, whatever that is for you. Just feeling into your senses what's there for you. Feeling that flow of energy coming up to your base chakra, bright ball of platinum light, mixing and merging with the grey of the Earth Star. Feel that expanding within and all around you. Moving further up to your sacral chakra. This is a bright, luminous pink, merging with the other colours. Just sensing that movement within and all around you as the energies of this chakra expands. Just sensing and allowing that flow to move up to your navel, the navel chakra. A golden ball of light. Mixing and merging all the other colours. Feeling that expanding within and all around you. And further up still to your solar plexus. Again, a golden colour, bright gold. Just allowing this energy to expand. Connecting with the other chakras. Colours merging. And as this expands, I want you to visualize or sense this energy moving out from your solar plexus to form a giant bubble of golden light all around you. Your own personal bubble of protection. Moving further up still as we expand into the heart energy of the heart chakra. This is bright white. It's allowing this heart energy to expand out. Expanding within every single cell of your body. Every aspect, every energy body. As that connection to love. And the heart energy flows within and all around you. Feeling that connection to love. Moving up into the royal blue of your throat chakra. As that colour mixes with all the other colours, allowing this to expand with every aspect of your throat, your neck, all the cells, all the energy. Expanding that energy of communication, that truth. Connecting with the heart energy of speaking your truth. Communicating through the energy of love. As that expands out all around you. Flowing up now to your third eye. Just bring your awareness between your eyebrows. Just take your focus further into the center near the back, inside your head. Visualize or sense or just know the energy of a crystal ball with emerald sparkly light. Connecting into your intuitive senses, allowing this energy to expand. Connecting to all the subtle senses, all the aspects of your body associated with that. As that expands out to connect a higher source of light to a higher vibration, a higher frequency. Our ability to tap into the field of energy that's available for all of us. And up to the top of your head, to your crown chakra. And imagine this white light opening up like 1,000-leaf lotus. Welcome in the higher light as this opens. Further connection to source. Expanding that column of light as this mixes and merges with all the other chakras. Divine connection. Just being aware of all those chakras working together. Giant column of light within and all around you. As you bring your awareness slightly above and slightly behind your head to your causal chakra, your own personal moon. Allowing this connection to connect in with the other chakras as you feel the energy radiating, flowing through within and all around you. You may be sensing sensations in your body, you may be seeing colours, you may just have a knowing. And if you're not in your senses, just trust that they're all there for you, ready for you to develop. Moving your awareness higher still to the soul star chakra, colour magenta. See this beautiful ball of light radiating down to mix and merge through the causal, through the crown, and that connection flowing through with all the other colours. Higher still to the stellar gateway, bright giant ball of golden orange light. Feel the connection here. The colour radiating down. Connecting further into your divinity or mastery. And then just sensing into that connection again, is all flowing with a connection through the six-pointed star. Allowing that light to flow through, source light, Christ consciousness, whatever your connection is fine. So from this awareness of your energy bodies, I want you to take your intention back to your solar plexus, your giant bubble of golden light. This is your own personal bubble, and only what you invite in is what is right for you to have in the session. So some of you may already have a guide. Some of you may want to try and invite a different guide in. I want you to set the intention to ask for your spirit guide to come in. The spirit guide, so your personal guide that will work with you, work with your own development, working with beyond the veil, loved ones, guides from other realms, archangels. Again, whichever you tune into is absolutely fine. So just visualize now in front of you, ball of light forming, creating a portal as this light gets bigger and bigger. Invite your spirit guide to step in to your personal space, allowing enough room in your personal space to invite in your guide. I'm going to choose one of the challenges for you to work with. I want you to imagine that you're holding the sword of truth. It's connected into your heart and your highest truth. If you're struggling to imagine a guide, just pretend. Just make it up. It's the same thing. It doesn't matter. Imagine a guide showing up in your space. And I want you to hand them the sword of truth. And say in your mind or out loud if you want to, are you working for the good of God or the good of Source? Again, choose your own words. And the greatest good of mankind. You're handing them the sword of truth. I want you to visualize or sense or know that they can hold this up in the air. If they're able to hold it up in the air, feeling into the sense of feeling or sense of sight, how they feel to you. Does this energy feel good? Does it feel open? If they can't hold up the sword or the energy doesn't feel right, you send them away. You cut the cords, they go out of your bubble, out of the portal, and then you start again. So I'll just wait a few minutes for you all to welcome in a guide and see what sense you're in that connection with them. So just if you'd like to, if anybody hasn't managed, if anyone's had a challenge that they've had to send away, just put your hand up. Okay, everyone good? So your guide is there to work with you. And again, if the guide doesn't feel right for you, send them away and you start the process again. Could start by asking, do they have a name? Literally, what's your name, friend? Do you have a sense if they're male or female? Is there a colour? Colours mean something. Just see a colour forming in your mind's eye. What that colour might mean to you, or ask them, what does the colour mean? What's that tuned into? Is it associated with a chakra, for example, or whatever that might be? Just tuning into your subtle sense of sound. Is there anything they'd like to say to you? So ask, do I need to know anything right now for my highest good? Allow those words to flow in. You may even see the words. You may hear. You could visualize picking up a telephone if you like. Anything. What are they saying? There may be a smell or a taste. Sometimes we can have loved ones show up in our smell and taste, certain smells that are familiar, a certain type of food that may have been a comfort food, or it may have a significance to the person that you're working with as well. Ask your guide now for a gift. This could be anything, any kind of gift. It could be showing you one of your gifts. It could be handing you a box with something in it, anything. Ask them to show you something, give you a gift. Again, you can ask any question. If you're not sure what it means, ask. It may feel random to be worked out later on. This is about you just learning the energy of your guides so that when you work on your own personal growth or they're working with you during a session, you can ask them a question to help you. They may be helping you if you work in a mediumistic way, talking to spirit. You may have a psychic guide with you that is helping you with in person, speaking to an alive person, if you like, for want of a better word. So the guides are there to help us in many ways. And again, you know, may just be it's tapping into a higher intuition that you have because you're allowing that flow to come in. It doesn't matter. So just thank your guide for coming now. We're just going to ask them to step out of your personal space. They can come whenever you want to work with them. Your guides are always there. Your connection to your higher self, your subtle senses are always there when you're ready to work with them. See them leaving your personal space back into the portal of light as that light gets smaller and smaller and smaller until it's gone. Draw your golden bubble of light back towards your solar plexus. Keeping yourselves anchored to Mother Earth. Start drawing your energy back towards all the chakras, just bringing them back into a normal state, a normal brain state, in order for you to come fully back in the room. Start to tune into your breathing, your feet on the floor. You can stretch and yawn. Just come back when you're ready. So those not on camera, so when you're ready, just give me a thumbs up, either with your screen off, if you know where the thumb button is, just so that I know you're okay. So that's just a little taster of one of the exercises to get you kind of tuned into a guide. The more you practice this, the quicker it gets. You don't need to go, I don't always go through the ascension chakras. Sometimes I'll go on a journey with your senses. Sometimes I'll bring in the elements, fire, air, water, wood, just bring in all alive. So there's many different ways to work with this. Okay, everyone all right? Okay, so I will turn off the recording now so that I can open the room up for people to share if they'd like to. So let's just pause